what made you take on this topic?
Hey, that's a big question. I started working, I come from documentary, I guess. That was my background in documentary. I started work on on a film, I guess it was a project about consent and power on college campuses. So I was going around colleges and interviewing students about consent and what their kind of institutions were doing to address these topics. And then when I was at Stanford chatting to a theater troupe that were doing some amazing stuff, the Weinstein story broke on my phone. My friends started texting me. A few of them had worked at the Weinstein Company. A lot of my friends worked for different production companies in New York City and LA. And so I started kind of asking questions about what was going on and how much they knew about what was going on. And that led to like more and more interviews with people, and that formed the basis of the screenplay.
So it was mostly research from people that you knew that helped you craft the screenplay? How long did it take you to write it?
It took maybe 2 months, but it was very quick. But I spent about 6 months, maybe 8 months chatting to people, and the same sort of stories were happening again and again, and that became and that became kind of like, I guess the repetition was what shocked me. What was so shocking is my friends in finance and tech had similar stories to my friends in film industry. So these kind of same stories about definitely things like gender division of labor. So the idea that the women were tasked with getting the lunches, whereas the men could, sit in on more important meetings was coming up again and again. The fact that the men were getting promoted before the women did, the way the HR department can strip you of your self-confidence and self-worth. So all of that became kind of, I kept hearing sort of the patterns kept emerging. So it kind of came together quite quickly because I was hearing the same terrible tales.
And most of the conversations that we have are like on the survivors and the predators. And you don't really see the people who are just going through their day trying to make it in life. So what made you decide to do this kind of assistant who's like a Jane Doe, this unnamed person in this industry?
I was a little, like reading all the Me Too coverage, I was a bit disappointed that everyone focused on the predators and these kind of bad men and weren't talking about these kind of bigger issues of why there aren't more women in the film industry and why there aren't more like kind of women even at the assistant level but being promoted above that.
Right.
So I guess I kind of threw all my, this sort of film covers the spectrum from like misconduct through to just toxic workplaces and sexual harassment and gendered work environments. I kind of wanted to cover all that in the one movie, so I threw it all in.
How many people here have worked in a toxic work environment? Yeah, not that many. So the next so in the notes that I got, it said that Jane was an ambitious young woman who wants to become a producer. And I felt, when I was watching Jane, like the ambition had been beat out of her already. Yeah. And it was like, she's like, what, 4 months into the job? I literally thought she'd been working there 10 years. Yeah. Even though she was so young. But they're like, oh, you were here for 4 months, right? And I'm just like, so that is a common theme, that the ambition that is not only from the people who are survivors, but for the people who kind of have to deal with this on an ongoing basis. Did you hear a lot of stories about how people just like kind of lost their ambition?
Yeah, you hear a lot of stories about kind of getting your dream job and expecting it to be everything, and then on the first, in the first few weeks, you kind of discover that, especially something like that, an environment like that, where she doesn't have other women around her to look up to. She doesn't really see her
I don't think
path.
Are there other women there?
There are other women. There's a few scattered around, but it was sort of, a lot of stories about being kind of stripped of any kind of, I guess your ambition and your desire to kind of, I guess if you don't really see a path forward or place for you in this industry, it does kind of rattle you a little bit, and that's where she's at.
And I didn't watch the movie tonight, but like, she doesn't smile at all, does she? In the whole thing? Like, she just looks like she's ready to like.
She has fun with the kid, remember, on the floor?
Okay.
It's fun. I mean, it's very, are you saying it's too bleak?
No, not at all. It's not about, I'm again thinking about her existence in this. And how she reacts to having to deal with something like this. And, she's only 4 months into this job, and she knows she is epically fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we worked with, so Julia Garner, who plays the character, is incredible, and she and I had like a lot of
She's really
conversations
good.
about how much she would, like how optimistic, how naive would it be for her to be optimistic at this point, you know? And so we were kind of really trying to make sure that the character was kind of authentically on the net, just another day in the office after having done that job for, I think it's only 5 weeks, but it's
5
still
weeks,
enough
not even
to
4
suck
months,
it out.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
And when she went to the HR thing, that guy has had many of these conversations probably every time a person comes into that office, he has to deal with it. So I think like another character in this movie was complicity. And so talk a little bit about what you learned about the kind of complicit environment in a lot of these toxic workplaces.
I mean, I was interested in mostly like the culture of silence, the idea that a lot of everyone kind of there was aware that something was not right, and yet they weren't communicating. And this idea that when she tried to reach out to people, often they would ignore her or kind of move away. But I was also interested in the fact that I don't think they're bad people, and I never wanted to make them out to be. It was, when I started saying I was making a film about assistants who work for a predator, people go, oh, the enablers. And I'm like, it's really tough for you to call her that, because she's stuck in a system that's structured against her. She's kind of just trying to survive every day, and she is trying to reach out to people, but getting constantly shut down. So yeah, it became just trying to navigate and explore the complexity of being in that position.
And the fear.
Yeah, and having the least power in that organization of a very powerful company.
She just seems afraid all day long.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who go to work in fear, but it takes its toll. So what is the outcome you want for people when they leave the theater? What do you want people to be thinking about?
The idea would be, I mean, I really just wanted to have conversations about how we can make our workplaces more safe and equitable and fair. And so that if we can get people kind of thinking about, like, we're all kind of complicit in this sort of system that has hurt and sidelined women for this long. So I feel like we all need to kind of analyze our behaviors, interrogate that if we want things to change, and that might make it a little uncomfortable, but I think that's the goal. I've had a few like bosses and filmmaker friends who've kind of emailed me after watching it, and one of them took like 3 weeks to email me, and she normally writes straight back and tells me off, but this time I was silence. And then I got this email saying I'm feeling very guilty because I have assistants that I asked to do too much for me, and so I'm wrestling with that. But just the idea that someone could rethink kind of what they're asking people to do and how they're treating others, that would be kind of the ideal message or something to think about.
I mean, I think the entertainment industry, more than a lot of other industries, is very kind of like, there's no line between personal and professional, and it's gross. And so, like, I think I've had assistant jobs in actual offices where I didn't have to, take care of people's children and do all that kind of stuff, versus that it's just, she's required, she's 5 weeks into this, she knows exactly what the deal is. And it just seems quite normalized in Hollywood, and hopefully people are rethinking that.
Yeah, I think there's a movement called Pay Up Hollywood. There's a few that are kind of encouraging assistants to stand up for their rights. And there's people organizing right now. It's a good time to be having these conversations.
Right, so you get paid very little, and you have to do all this inappropriate
Yes.
work. Do you think things are changing now? We're 2.5 years into this kind of tectonic shift in the foundations of the industry. What are your sense of it?
I think it's getting a little better. There's still a lot to talk about, and there's still a lot to kind of unpick, and it's behaviors that people don't even realize they're doing, or these kind of unconscious bias and things like that, like the way those boys are behaving. I still see men treating people like that every day. So the idea is, I mean, yeah, we have a long way to go, but I do think that I see my friends who are women being offered more jobs. I think things are changing slowly, so there's hope.
Do you think there are still men hiding under their desks?
Why would they be hiding under?
Because they don't feel that they can come out and talk to anyone because they're afraid.
Of what?
Oh.
Do you mean like the predators are hiding?
Yes, or the kind of predator adjacent. My understanding is that there are a lot of men who are hoping this goes away and goes back to regular life so they can continue.
I don't know. I think we've weeded out a lot of them. I think there's a few to go, but
The dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we go to the audience? Okay, great. Now, I see that New York Women Foundation is doing some work with the film.
Yeah,
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I'm a share of the profits, and send the profits to the New York Women's Foundation, because they're actually providing action.
You shot the film in like, what, how many days?
18 days.
18 days. Impressive.
It's very speedy operation.
18 days. Anybody have a question?
Okay.
You wanna go and you wanna just go and I'll point and, all right, let's start with this gentleman right here.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, it seems you chose to either write or edit out the presence of the CEO. Why did you do that? And was it in editing or writing and from the beginning?
Yeah, I never wanted to show the boss character. I felt like, firstly, that this is something I've been saying to the press, but that bad men have had enough screen time, is the line that I made. But it is like, I didn't want to focus on him. I wanted to make a female-centered narrative around kind of the issues that were important to her and the issues that were important to me and my colleagues, and less so about these kind of bad men. Also, we know what happens behind that closed door. We've read it in the news. And I think we're kind of, I don't want to subject people to that. So if we can kind of examine the machinery and the system around him, that became like the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Jane quits?
I think she does, and maybe eventually, but this was able to go on for so long because people didn't. They got stuck, and it's a very dehumanizing system and kind of traps people in it. So yeah, I think she probably stuck around for a bit.
Right back there.
Thank you for making this film, and I really loved especially the gaslighting HR scene. It's fantastic and works across all industries for sure. I thought that your camera placement was really interesting. There were so many still shots where we just see movement occurring and we're just kind of observing from a very still camera that's not handheld, that's not super dynamic, there's not a lot of distracting editing. Was that a conscious choice artistically? Was that more a function of the budget and the short time frame you had? Was that from your documentary background? I'm wondering what that decision is like.
Yeah, we were very conscious, like when I was going into this, I really wanted to make one authentic day in the shoes of somebody in that position, which is a very, kind of a lot of the tasks she does are very mundane. And I wanted to kind of give those sort of tasks, every task kind of equal weight. So the idea that kind of the Xerox machine or whatever, the photocopying is kind of the same kind of length and it has the same kind of feel as scrubbing the couch or something. Like I didn't want to sensationalize those aspects. I wanted to really show somebody's work day authentically. So I said no music. There's only music in the start and the end. I said to my cinematographer, like it's not about us, like we can't, I just want everything to be shot very kind of, I don't know what the word, I can't remember the way I expressed it, but it was like, we can't look cool. If we look cool, we've failed. Like, I didn't want any focus on us as the filmmakers. I wanted it to be her story and to be clearly kind of told her way. So that became, the thing. It's like, no winking, like, no, like, look how cool we are. Like, it became, like, none of that. So very still cameras, kind of like very observational, I guess, my background in documentary means that I've seen a lot of those films that are just observing kind of work and the workplace. And the best, the biggest influences, Chantal Ackman, Jean Dielman, this feminist film about a woman doing domestic kind of duties, and it's an incredibly beautiful film, and it is just, her life played out in real time, and so that became kind of.
What do you think about your movie opening and the height of the trial of he who shall not be named?
It's very, like the coincidence that the trial's going on, it's such a coincidence that everyone's like, oh, did you plan this? I'm like, no. So it is really disturbing because you kind of you're talking about this all day and you get home and you check your phone and it's just so horrific to read what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I can't really comment on it. I'm going to say like I hope good comes out. So I hope we get some justice. But
right there in that corner.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for making this. It was wonderful. I mean, not wonderful, but you know what I mean. I just like
all of the same feelings we have.
Yeah, it was just it was a perspective and it had a sense of realism about all this that I haven't seen before, and I'm really grateful for that. A question that I had for you was, in the beginning when I was watching, I was like, wow, this is so relatable, like so and at first I thought, oh, maybe, you know, there's, the, you know, we're not gonna say this is the film industry, like, I thought maybe it was gonna be like any old office, and then I started realizing, oh, no, like, we are talking about this, like, this is, it's very clear. And I was wondering, like, when you were writing this, were you ever thinking, like, maybe I was, like, you know, you were thinking, like, maybe you weren't going to say what industry it was, or was it always your intention to make this very specifically about the entertainment industry?
It was always my intention to make it kind of, I mean, when you interview people that work in the entertainment industry, you hear the craziest stories about like helicopters and briefcases full of money, and I chose not to use those because I really wanted it to be transferable to any workplace. You wanna hear that? Well, that could be the sequel. But like, right now, so what I really want to do is focus on kind of something that is very old, like the ordinary as opposed to the extraordinary, so that these kind of things about getting the coffee and the photocopy became, and yeah, there is kind of film chit chat, but there's not a lot of things she does that are very directly related to filmmaking. But it's just almost like it's a silent movie, so you gotta fill it in with sound in order to not bore people completely. So we did end up recording a lot of like film chatter to like fill kind of the soundscape.
Yeah, it was not a lot of words for her, and
Yeah.
she just seems, I mean, she's only there 5 weeks, so she, you know, it takes a long time to adjust to her job, but she's like got that down pat. And maybe somebody taught her on their way out, but, you know, I thought it was quite striking how little words there are, except when she's getting yelled at and saying, okay, sorry, and then she has to send all those emails saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, she's the person in the office that nobody really bothers to talk to, so I think her interactions are limited to like, you know, if this is turkey, I want a chicken, and things like, kind of lines like that, which are all the more cutting when it's kind of in, and brought out within the silence, so, yeah, it did become the culture of silence, the one that was kind of informing those choices.
Okay, so I see a very excited person back there.
If you were her mentor, looking outside, what would you advise her to do?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It takes place pre the Me Too, the rise of the Me Too movement. I do think if it happened, if that was her story today, she would have avenues and spaces to talk about her discomfort or to address some of her concerns about misconduct. So I do think it is definitely almost a period piece in that it takes place a few years ago, but it's still like pretty much everything else. Apart from that, everything else is sort of still relevant today, but I do think that's the one thing that's changed. I do think we can, and it's not true everywhere, but I do think there are places you can go when you have experienced something like that or witnessed something like that. So yeah, that is part of the shift, I think. But yeah, I'm not sure what I would have advised her back then, to be honest, because,
I was told her to quit.
yeah.
There's only, you know, it's not worth it. Do we have the mic back here? All right, with the woman right here on the, over there, and then we'll come back down here.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how the film was financed or made, like if there was any hesitation with people wanting to back the film, or people were really eager to see a film like this made and wanted to finance it?
Yeah, this was really tricky to get made because it's reflective of almost every film company, and so anyone that opens it that works at a production company can see themselves in it. So you get the women, often we get the women really wanting to make it, and then we get this email from them saying, I'm sorry, I can't get my male colleagues on board. And that would happen again and again. Sometimes we'd be all in, and then someone would freak out. So the money would drop out. Like it's happened a few times where we just assumed we were funded, like we were told we were funded, and then it would disappear. And somebody decided that it's not a very good idea to get involved with this or something. So you never knew exactly why. It was all very shadowy and whatever. But we ended up finding a really great group of independent financiers and producers. And so they kind of came together, and we kind of cobbled it together and made it quite cheaply in 18 days. It's one location, so it does make it easier. Film, basically one location.
Culture of fear still pervades
Exactly.
the industry. Well, I'm, you know, impressed with all the people who decided to do this. One last question. Where's the mic? Wait, oh, this guy down here has been waiting. Make it good, no pressure. Right here, this guy.
Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you. I know you kind of already touched on this with the cinematography, but I was kind of curious to know, as far as like the music goes, it's not in there for most of the film, except for the very end. And it adds a incredible amount of tension. I didn't know at what point you decided, you know what, no music, that's gonna kind of like arrest or imprison us.
Yeah, that's exactly the thinking. No, it was about like no concessions. I didn't want to make it easy for anyone to be told. Like this story is, her tale is difficult and her life was difficult, and I wanted to make sure everyone sort of suffered with her essentially. So the music, I kind of fought to make sure I kind of wanted no music at all. But you know, I have producers and I have financiers, and everyone loves a bit of music over the credits. So if I let them have that their way and threw it on the beginning and end, which doesn't to me really hamper what I was trying to do. So it's fine. But yeah, I feel like you kind of need a release at the end. So we did. It was good. And we had Tamar Kali, amazing composer, Brooklyn-based composer, who came in. But mostly, to be honest, Leslie Schatz's my sound designer. He also sound designed Elephant and like Gus Van Sant's films and Carol and like really amazing kind of beautiful movies. So he is the best, and we needed to like layer a lot of sound, basically soundscapes like New York. He sent people out to record the streets of New York and like the sirens and like the office noises and hums and buzzes and fluorescent lights, and like we had all these kind of tracks upon like creating kind of tension out of everyday kind of
Still
objects.
nuance with like still be menacing too.
Yeah, and there's sort of music in them. Like there's music in kind of the hums, and you
Yeah.
can kind of create these sort of tension in the way that the sound is used. So yeah, it really helped that partnership was really essential. But yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you all for coming out. Thanks
Thank
to our
you so much.
supporting